So we can
Well, we're
I
here
sorry.
practicing it. I think that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's what do you call this? It's we can go to your progress chart, or we can do the tarot. How do you feel? What are you sensing? Like for you,
Um,
like how do you feel about the tarot? Like how?
I feel like I'm less connected to it
Mm.
than because we've been here in this. I feel like I'm less connected to it. It'd take a minute to probably connect. Not very long. I think it would be you were saying, okay, so these were the transits, but you were interested in the progressions,
Yeah,
right?
how
Of the
you
things where
changed,
you
how you kind of changed. Yeah, I want to show you that one because it's like so. It's
okay.
up to you. Would you like that?
I think it would be very interesting.
Okay.
How are we on the time? Because I'm like, I need another water.
Oh, go ahead, drink some water. It's like we have 10 minutes here, but I think progressions won't take that long. I don't think so because it's more like we kind of like your chart, but what's changed? That's it.
Okay, sure, go for it.
Okay. Go ahead and grab some water, I guess, if you need
Do you
to.
need to pull up a different chart or is it on here?
It's in here. I have.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, because it changed. Oh, wait, no, no, I downloaded it. Never mind. Got it. Okay. Mm,
Okay, 30 seconds. I'll be right back. I'll
okay,
get
yeah,
a
yeah,
big
yeah.
one.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh, that's not it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So as you can probably see here, it looks like your actual birth chart, but it's just that the planets have moved, quote unquote, moved, and it's right here. So definitely starting with it's just planets. We're just dealing with planets. We're not dealing with well, we can deal with the. It's not really anything else, but again, like progression. So okay, so we start with the sun. I saw the sun. Sorry.
Hey, that was a good song back in the day.
I know. Who was it by again?
Oh God, it's on the tip of I had I can see the album, Signs.
That group. I
Oh God, I
know.
can't.
I know. It'll come back to me somehow. Like some things come to my head. It's like especially songs. It's like, oh, all of a sudden. Okay, so here's your progression chart. Okay, so we all know that. Okay, so your sun was generally, as we know, okay, Scorpio, 29 degrees. Okay, it has moved. See how specific this is. It's kind of freaky. And if you look at and this is where if you look at someone's chart and you look at the progression chart, you can actually guess around what age they are because of the progression chart.
Okay.
So 29 degrees right here, right? It's the sun. Now it is or it's progressed now where you are now. And 20, what is this? 20, sorry, 20, 10, 20, 24 degrees Capricorn. 24 degrees Capricorn, not 25. 25 is the midheaven. So if we look at the sun, okay, so right here, 23. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah,
Mhm.
23 degrees in Capricorn. So you calculate the number of
The
points.
29 degrees in Scorpio to where it is now to figure
Hmm.
out how old the person is.
Yeah. So that's, you already know. So,
That's
um,
interesting. Okay.
yeah. But how this describes you personally, like at least with your own identity, is that now you identify, you're still Scorpio, but there's two parts to this, sort of two parts. the transition that you made from Scorpio to Sagittarius to Capricorn means that you had to go through letting go and having to trust the world or having to trust those around you or your environment and kind of grow from that from those experiences. But then now you're trying to you're at this point in your life where you're like you set limits for yourself. You set limits for you have more discipline. You have more uh, groundedness. You're more committed to wisdom. You're more committed to watching out for like what you're afraid of, your karma. It's not just like fuck it all, but now it's more like let's listen for a second. Let's see where my choices lead to. So um, yeah, that's I would say that's the general gist of it because it's not Capricorn, so it's more definitely more. You're okay with having more time for yourself, not just like you're not as attached to like relationships or social circles or or at least you're learning that, and that's a progression that's been happening. So you you become wiser, definitely for sure, absolutely. Like I mean, that's an understatement because literally it's in Capricorn. So you're more Capricornish, but you've had the experiences of a Sagittarian from being a Scorpio. I'm not sure if the decans have anything to do with it, but I feel like it could be because it's now in 23 degrees Capricorn and it's in, yeah, it's there. It's ah, there's that Virgo thing again. So more mind, more logical, more. This is the overall feel of your change in your own personality, your identity, your sun, what gives you vitality as well. So remember,
Is
you're
being
still
very
Scorpio.
logical.
Sorry?
Is being very logical is
And
what.
yeah, and on fact-based, thought-based, probably there's a bit of not only seriousness to it, but kind of in a very somewhat Capricorn in the third decan is there's a sort of youthfulness about them. They're not as serious actually, even though you are committed, you are serious, you're earnest, you're very factual, you're fact-based. All this, like you say what you it's, but at the same time, it's more there's a there's a yeah there's a youthfulness about it. You can relate to people more without being too attached or without also being too detached. What do you think? This is my very first progression chart. I'm just letting you know. I'm literally testing this out.
Oh, well then I'm excited to be that person. Well, I can tell you that as far as saying who I've come into, right?
Mm.
Yes. I lived in China for a couple of years, and as the parties that were exiting, I was part of the committee that gave the gifts. Um we had gone around to our colleagues, our Chinese colleagues, and ask them, can you give us a word that describes your colleague? And then we framed it. It was in ancient Chinese calligraphy,
Oh.
and we framed it for that person. And I had gotten the wise, the charismatic, the youthfulness,
Mm.
because and I work with people that are half of my age, and they have trouble. They're like, we forget that you're like our mom. You understand. We can talk to you so easily.
Mm.
So I would say that's probably pretty spot on.
Mm.
And that's
Yay.
from their words, not from mine.
Okay, that's cool. That's awesome. Yay.
Yeah, so that's really kind of cool and interesting because one of the girls that is kind of she came to me because of some knowing that I have a little bit of alternative thinking, thus FTP, right? And she's like, it's just, you started this a couple of years ago, and it's just now that you've gotten into this, and just seeing the changes, it's just I want to be a part of it. That was kind of cool.
Want to go on to the moon?
Oh, yeah, if you want to do the moon next,
So,
sure.
so the moon, obviously, as we already know, it's our inner sort of self, our soul. It's our subjective self rather than the objective, which is the sun. It's still kind of your identity, but it's more about the. It's the moon is quite deep because it's so. It's in there. It's like the thing you don't need to express. It's the things that you don't need to. You just know what comfort is. You just know what your instincts tell you. You know what it feels like. You know when people say like, "Yeah, I feel you. I feel." Yeah, that's the moon. That's the moon. So with your Virgo being, with your moon being in Virgo when you were born, it's kind of actually gone almost full circle because it's now in, it's progressed through Leo. It doesn't progress through, of course, it doesn't go backwards. It progressed through the, almost the entire chart. Look at that, right? It's in Leo. So Leo in the, what is that here? 19 degrees Leo. So that means it is, it's, I don't know if I want to add the decans to it, but I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it. My progression chart shows that my sun is now in Sagittarius. Well, I progressed through Sagittarius. So I'm like, oh, and my sun is in Libra. So I'm like, so I'm like, fuck it. I don't care. I'm going to risk it. So now I'm all riskier for sure. But okay, so the moon is now in Leo, or you progress through your how you process emotions, the emotional ups and downs. So definitely more not as analytical as you would normally have been when you were younger. Like just like everything I know, everything has to be perfect, everything has to be analytical. Now it's more like just have fun. Have fun. I'm just gonna enjoy. I'm just gonna enjoy the things I experience, the things I feel. Okay, so it goes up. Fuck it. Okay, that goes down. Okay, fuck it. Whatever, right? And just you just basically you're going with the flow, and you kind of feel like you want to shine more, or you would rather in this case because it's the moon, it's need to shine more, but it's not. It's not out of this because it's coming. It's almost come full circle. It's not a need anymore. It's more like I just know. I just that's what I that's what I do.
Like it just naturally happens now.
Possibly, yeah. And again, I'm not. I want to add. I'm not sure if I. Okay, I'm gonna risk the decant here. But if it were the sun, for example, in so Leo, the first 10 degrees would be in the sun. After that would be in Jupiter. So it's a Jupiter in Leo. Um, so okay, you're more open to emotional changes and upheavals and um, the kind of it's more optimistic for sure. Again, because it comes full circle. You've gone through pretty much the whole fucking zodiac, and basically I've learned through that. So it's definitely a whole lot of caboodle maturity with Moon and Leo. So
And this
it's
is emotional maturity.
I would say so, yeah, because you've gone through the whole pretty much like yeah full circle. That's what I that's what I'm seeing here. So it's and definitely more balanced with how you um, assert your own leadership. You could probably say even dominance, but not like power hungry dominance, not control. It's just, yeah, I know, like I said, you know what you want. Or in this case, you know what you slash want slash need. It's more, it's definitely instinctive, but it's not like from pure rawness. It's more, it's that, yeah, there's that maturity for sure. And lots of optimism, lots of welcomingness of change and growth, and yeah, and faith as well. Jupiter ruled Sagittarian is a lot about faith. So, comments, questions?
That's kind of where I am, is getting to that point of realizing, oh, so let go and let God means literally let go and let God.
Yeah. Oh, there's also possibility to because it's something about Leo because it's fire and it's intuition as well. It's definitely more open to those sense. This is why now you're in tarot. It's the angels. That's why you have the angel cards. It's like, oh, okay, let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, that's cool. Mercury. So Mercury was originally in Scorpio. Now in that's 0 degrees Capricorn. I can't see it. Oh, it's 29 degrees. Okay, so um, more revitalized way of communicating. I'm using a decan here right away, but definitely more. Uh, it's 29, so definitely changes to come about because it's in the cusp. Well, technically, it's transitioning between the cusp of Sagittarius to Capricorn. So you're going in the way you express self-expression, communication. Um, you're okay with not going to like far off places as much. You're okay with just sticking where you are. You're okay with like what do you call this? Yeah, you're okay with more like a more. You're transitioning towards a more. Is that the word stern? Like a more like grounded way of communication. And your relationship with your siblings probably have are in the process of becoming a lot more serious in a certain way, possibly. I don't know. I'm not
My
sure.
sister passed as well.
Oh, okay. Well, at the very least, like a sibling, uh, someone who's like a sibling.
Okay.
Could be a best
That
friend.
makes sense. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and yeah, that definitely makes sense. A maybe a you said a reconnection of.
Probably at the transition because it's from Sagittarius to Capricorn, so it's more not so much out there, but more like creating healthy limits.
Well, would it apply if and my old best friend, grade school, high school, college,
Hmm.
had moved away and has recently come back?
Uh, could be, yeah, possibly, yeah, that could have. I feel like, well, you don't have a Mercury return. Well, have you? Is there a Mercury return? Have you? Is this Mercury return? Oh, could be. It could be a Mercury return right now. Where was Mercury in the other? Sorry, I have to look at it. I don't want to look at the other. But if you have a Mercury return, that could probably open up new information for yourself, for you. But not probably also some relationship, like a someone sibling like. Yeah, possibly. I don't know, but depends on where Mercury is transiting right now. That's yeah. So I should have stuck with the transit progression, triad sort of chart because that would have shown. But that's fine. This is fine. Um, yeah, that could be it too. If Mercury, because right now we're in November, so there's a
Um,
possibility that Mercury is, yeah. You can have several Mercury returns in our lifetime. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
oh, you had just asked. I think you said that I have Ceres, Mercury, Mars for transit.
Ah, yeah. Yes. What about that?
So you were asking where was Mercury in the transits? It was in Mars.
Oh, okay. Right now it's in Mars. Oh, it's conjunct Mars, but it's in Scorpio.
Okay.
Mercury is still in Scorpio right now. So you'll that makes sense. So your friend is when did your friend come back? Your best friend.
Well, we had been in like contact, but it was like she felt that she had to go through some personal work herself. So recently, probably within the last month, where it's actually where we've been not just conversing through, on the phone or such, but we're actually spending time together, which hasn't happened in decades. And we lived, she actually came and lived with me when we were kids, and I'm the one that called her and told her she was pregnant, and then I called her and told her she was having a little girl.
Okay.
When she was pregnant, she would be sick. I would be the one that would throw up. She would feel better.
Oh,
I mean, that's how crazy connected we were.
okay.
So that's
Okay.
why when you were saying sibling, I'm like, oh, maybe that would work. Maybe that work because
Yeah.
and my sister passed. So she
Mm,
was like my sister.
that's good. Okay. Sorry, I had a curious question. Do you channel like um, um, relatives, all that stuff? Do you
I have.
mediumship? Okay. I've been. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Be there. Yeah. Okay.
This happens to me all the time. Like when I try to kind of time like how long I can. What because when you're having fun, I don't know. I feel like that. That's for me. I can go forever, but I have to
Yeah.
still respect time. This is Saturn too. Saturn is the lord of karma and time. So I'm like, okay, know your limits.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. It's
Okay.
okay. Let's
But
go.
this sucks, right? It's hard here because we can go and have that discussion, you know?
Yeah, even if we didn't have like the limits, like time limits, it would still be like go, 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 go. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so cool. That's awesome. I was also thinking about like your Venus. Good, but Venus is more like your sensuality. It's like part of you. It's the what one of the astrologers I follow, like I bought her book, Judy Hall. She said Venus is like the urge to relate. It rules both Libra and Taurus, except yeah, but it's more Taurus for me. But still, like it's. But if it doesn't apply here because for you your Venus was in Scorpio and it's still in Scorpio. However, it is 29 degrees, 24 degrees. Right? Wait, no, 6 degrees. Sagittarius. Is it? Did I miss that? Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, not in Scorpio. Sorry, I missed it. I made a mistake. So I thought it was like the house. I was like, no, no, no. It's now in Sagittarius. So typically, Venus in Scorpio actually is it's in its detriment because no, it's in its fall. Yeah, detriment. Yeah, that means that Venus uh, has a tendency towards more like jealousy and control, all that stuff because it's in Scorpio. For you though, you've matured definitely a lot more. It's now in Sagittarius, so it's now away from its detriment and kind of rising, and definitely mm, would made sense that you are more open to relationships that give you a lot of positivity, positive energy, a lot of joy, a lot of what do you call that? This is the word I'm looking for here. But yeah, so that's very Sagittarian things. It's very adventurous sort of relationship that kind of help you grow, that help you understand more about yourself. Especially because remember that even though you have progressions, it's the root is still originally what it was before. It's still like that. So in your case, because Scorpio is still about relationships. Scorpio is like an intense connection with someone, especially with Venus there. This is why Venus likes to be in control. When Venus is in Scorpio, it's like that. But the way it progressed is that it's into Sagittarius. It's more like, I've let more of that control go. I still know my boundaries. I still know my Plutonian self. I still know, okay, it still has to be meaningful. So you kind of pick and choose who you want to. You actually intuit that process. So you're kind of more like, not here, it's more like What does Venus rules? Kind of like down here, because Venus rules uh, the lower area of the body. So the solar plexus, I would say.
The is it sacral or the solar plexus?
Wait, solar plexus is lower, right?
Solar plexus is like your abdomen region. So you have your root, your sacral, and then your solar plexus.
Yeah, I think solar. Yeah, it's solar plexus. I think it's the one that is ruled by Leo. No, no. Sorry, this is. It ties in, even though it's medical astrology. Technically, it ties in because it rules. Um, cheater, cheater, pumpkin
Not
eater.
at all.
No, no,
Not
no.
at
I'm just joking.
all.
Okay. Yeah, kidneys. So that area, basically, that's stomach area. So you're more uh, because
Oh,
Venus. Yeah. So yeah. Go ahead.
you asked me about channeling.
Yeah.
Yes, I get a lot of my body wisdom comes through that. If that's the stomach region you said, or did you say kidneys?
Kidney
You also
area.
said
Yeah.
stomach.
Stomach, kidney area. Yeah. Because it's
Because I get a lot of information that doesn't come through. And well, okay, what you're telling me is not true. My stomach, and I will have a physical reaction.
that's cancer though. But okay, let's take a look at
No,
this.
like let's say you're lying to me or you're not giving me information, it comes through. And if you're giving me false information, I have a physical response.
Are you having a physical response? Because sometimes I think
No,
I
not
lie.
right now.
Okay.
Not right now, I'm not. No.
Okay, so Venus rules. Oh, no, that's weird. The medical astrology one's different. It rules the throat, chin, cheek, sense of taste. But that's because of Taurus. That's interesting. Why is it different?
Different
Makes me
author.
wonder. No, it can't be. It has to be consistent. Astrology has to be like,
It's supposed to be, right?
yeah, it's supposed to be.
But then does it matter if it's coming under a different umbrella or a different type of astrology? Let's see if I turn this light
Mm,
off. If that helps.
no, I don't. Well, this is all what you call like tropical something astrology, meaning it's Western tropical.
Okay, Western. Okay.
Yeah. But okay. So, anyways, so it's basically yeah, Libra and Venus, kidneys. So it's that area. Um, oh, okay, it rules both. Sorry, Venus rules the throat area right here, and also that
Okay.
that area. But it's also it's related to Cancer. But Cancer stomach area. But that's weird. Cancer there and the Moon as well. The breast area. That's the Moon. Cancer is down there. So okay. Okay, but the point is that the point is that now it's become more open at the very least with Venus. Um, what is that? What is that? What are the kidneys connected to? What system is it connected to? Do you know? Is it endocrine system?
That would be because that's the system that is for cleansing, isn't it?
I think so. Okay. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So, but how that ties into what we're talking about is like with Scorpio there, it's kind of more like locked in. It's kind of very cautious. Part of you probably did you used to kind of have a distant solar plexus when you hug people, but now it's a little closer. Do you ever notice any changes? Like do you trust
No, I'm
more?
a hugger.
Sorry,
I'm a hugger.
you're a
I'm a
big
hugger.
hugger. Okay.
The only thing that has possibly tried to change is like the directionality of a hug. And that is there's a different sensation, there's a different connection. You know, most often we always hug people. When we hug people, we go this way, right?
Yeah.
You go to hug somebody. If
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because if you go to hug someone this way, you're actually aligning your hearts and there is a different
Ah.
physical sensation and you can actually feel a connection when you hug someone. It is like it's as if it's so much more powerful of a connection when you hug going from the right side to the left side. It's very interesting. If you have someone that you're close to, I would say do that experiment because it instantaneously feels like there's a shift. Like, it literally feels like there's a more of a definitive pause in time. It's
Mm.
really interesting.
Do you
Someone
think
taught me that a few years ago, and it's like, wow, that makes a big
that
difference.
makes sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you just tried it, or was it also did it kind of feel a little bit more natural?
No, someone taught me this. They were like, "Oh, hey, have you ever known this?" And I was like, "No." And then
Oh, okay.
they showed me, and we did this experiment, and that's
Oh,
what it
okay.
was
Okay.
like,
So experiment. Okay.
wow.
Go. Okay. So
Yeah,
now
and
you. Okay. So now you hug on this side. You go to the right.
definitely try to, but a lot of people still go, this way, and so and you're like, "Oh, wait, this side," and they're like, "Huh, what?" Then you have to explain it, and it's like, "Oh."
I
And
find
but
I
it's
I find I used to go on the left. Now I go on my right, especially with family.
interesting. So you might want to figure out what happened that made me do that disconnect,
Yeah. Well,
right?
I think okay. That makes sense. Yeah. I'll look into my progress chart. It's the
Cool.
moon, I would say. I think so because it's the chest area, but it's also the sun. The sun rules the heart just like Leo does. And but the moon is both the moon is the breast area, this chest area. So it's kind of both they're both kind of connected because it's yourself. It's your this is why people who do this, yeah. People who do this, like yeah, you can tell it's like hmm, very protective. Like I don't do this as much anymore. I actually put him on the side like right here. Even when I'm talking awkwardly to someone, I don't really know them. I'm just like, oh, it's right here. I don't like putting it in front of my chest like this. It feels
Very
weird.
much try not to, yeah, because it's very closing off. I'm blocking you, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That explains my sun in Sagittarius now, or sun progressed in Sagittarius. That explains that. The moon, I don't know, but anyways, okay. So, but yours would explain the moon in Leo. You have more courage for sure, right? We talked this one out. So you progressed in Leo, so that makes sense. More courage for sure. But again, you kind of it's gone through the whole zodiac. So
So does
uh,
that mean I have more courage to love or be openly, loving?
love that you give to others because it rules the fifth house. So yeah, love you give, courage, childlikeness as well. So it kind of comes full circle. Also because like I said, the youthfulness of Virgo comes from Mercury. So not so much of a serious analytical moon person anymore. More, yeah, open-hearted for sure. Um, then we go. I want to go. I will just stop with the personal planets because I feel like those are the ones that are stronger. We can go through the other planets next time. Mars is the last one of the personal planets. This one's about action. Um, but it's still in, it's still in Scorpio. But how that progressed by that much, I don't know much about the progression from like if it's still in the same sign, if the degrees make a real difference. I would say a little bit. Um, Applying the decans to this, I would say. Actually, no, sorry, you did progress. Sorry, my bad. I thought it was in Scorpio for some reason. No, it was in Virgo. So before, indecisiveness was more the common theme of your Mars. So action, assertiveness, like even like anger, you probably like didn't want to offend people, all those kind of things. I forgot to mention that about your Mars. um, that it's yeah, indecisiveness or kind of like you kind of wanted to
Whereas
uh,
I used to be the peacekeeper.
yeah, that's another one where the anger didn't want to you didn't want to have the anger come up, but now it's more like, yep, nope, it's gonna express itself however it needs to. If it needs to, with a bit more like yeah, control in a way because it's now in Scorpio. So it's progressed through Scorpio. Um, what else is there? It's technically like because it's Mars in Scorpio is also right at home. It's secondary ruler now. It feels more like you can assert yourself when you need to, but you definitely have this sense of like it's Mars is sexual, not just sexuality, but sex itself. It's the energy of willpower. So your willpower, this that you have, has become much more elevated for sure. It's more like um, there's something else I feel like Mars. Oh, Mars of course rules the. Did I say the head last time? Yeah, I did, right? Mars. I'm just wondering if the same as Aries as the head. Oh, Aries is the head, but Mars is genitals, muscles and genitals. So before, um, was there? Did you? Sorry, this is gonna get personal. Did you have like a beautiful? Did you feel like you were more like more in touch with your femininity, like when you were younger, but now it's a little bit more masculine in a certain way, or not that masculine, maybe the opposite, where it's just more like because when you have Mars, when we talk about genitals, and you're talking about Libra, Libra is likes to it's beautiful, it likes to be balanced, it's harmonious. So there was probably like it was okay, I would say. I don't I'm sorry, I'm gonna get personal, okay? Um, was there did you have to go through any sort of like reproductive sort of changes as you got
I
older?
had a cesarean,
Mm, no, that's birth stuff. That's the moon.
right? Well,
But
I'm trying to help talk about reproduction.
oh, sorry. I mean like your reproductive organs. Sorry, like
have I ever had a hysterectomy or
or
like a
something like yeah, change at least.
I had an augmentation,
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, okay. But because it is in Scorpio, before it was like, oh, it was just okay, it was balanced. But the augmentation explains why it's now into it's right at home. It's a dignity in Scorpio. That explains that.
as long as you understand it.
And so augmentation goes up, right? So that means it's come from Mars. Mars in Libra is actually a Mars belongs to Aries, right? Meaning it's like at home in Aries and in Scorpio. So when Mars is in Aries, it's right at home. But when it's in its opposite sign, it's called a detriment. So the energy of Mars becomes less. So instead of being decisive like Aries, it's like what? But it's also harmonious. But the thing is, though, because of the changes that have happened, it's it's going to Scorpio. It's going back home again. You know what I'm saying? So it's going back home. So there's that augmentation. Did you have the? Okay, let's take a look. So you're so 20 degrees. Can you help me with the numbers here? So 20 degrees originally. Now it's in Scorpio 29. So 30 plus. Did you have your augmentation around 39? Is that 39? Am I calculating this right? So 29 to 29. No, 20 to 20 is 30 degrees. So that means a 30-year
20
old.
to 20 is 40.
No, no, 20 to 20 as in like sign to sign when you come from jump, right? Because remember when I told you that the sun, remember earlier we said that the sun, if
Right.
this is zero, if you were born at zero, like, and now it's in 23 degrees Capricorn, you calculate the number of degrees and you just add those. But yeah, right. So that means that if it's 29 degrees here,
Hmm.
you go to 29 degrees here. That's 30 degrees. Then you add
Okay.
another, then you add from the 30 degrees, so 29 Sagittarius right here. If the sun was in 29, that means it would be 60. So 30, 60.
Okay.
if the sun is in 29 degrees right here, but it's not. It's still in 23.
Okay, so what age are you asking me for?
No, I was just like the 39. Did you have an
At 39.
augmentation?
Um,
Was it around that age?
Trying to figure out how old my daughter was. Hold on a second.
It's
I
okay.
don't think so.
I'm just kind of testing it right now
I
for
think
you.
it was 31 or 32.
Okay. 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 So that means that when Mars was, because Mars also signifies changes. Mars 20 degrees. So if it's 20 degrees in Scorpio,
But that's what I was saying. If we did 20 and if we did this was 20 and the other one was 29, is that right?
yeah. So you
Because
go, yeah.
I had to have it done again. And I want to
Okay.
say that I think that was closer if you add the two, because we added the two before,
Yeah.
that would have been about right, because that would have been about 4 years ago.
Okay. So
So I would have
10,
been 49 when that happened.
20, 30. Ah, 30.
Does that compute better?
Let me double check. Mars hold on. Mars is now 24. Okay, so 10, 20, 30. Oh, 35. Yeah, close to 35, 33. Yeah, that makes sense to change. You said 35 when 33 years old is when you had? Okay.
About, yeah. And then again, that's what I was saying. If we added that again, the 29 and the 20 from where it is now here and then there, that would make 49, which would have been about the second time.
Okay, because the number, sorry, I mean, I'm getting all pedantic here. So, so it's 10 here, because that's how it works. It's 10, and then you go another 10 here,
Hmm.
and then, because you go by the sign, not the houses. So 10, 10, that's 20.
Okay, so these numbers on the side don't matter. The 20 and the 39, that doesn't matter.
Well, we're starting from 20 because that's what you were born with. Right? So 20, and you
Right.
go
So
by
I'm
the
just
sign.
saying,
Mhm.
if we did 20 and then going, if you can scroll up to go up to where it is on the outside again, over, is that where we're talking here or was it
Yeah,
higher up? Are we
from
talking about this one that's over here on the outside of Scorpio or the one that was up above?
when we're trying to connect Mars to this Mars to this Mars.
Right. But I thought there was another one up above. That was the one I thought you were originally
Oh, no,
talking.
no, 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 no.
Okay. That was what I thought you were talking about originally
Okay,
when you were asking me.
okay.
Okay.
So either way, it's like it's there. So,
Yeah.
okay. Um, that's it for the personal planets. I don't know if the other planets apply because it is progression of your, but it can. That's yeah. So okay, finito. I think
You're
so.
like, I got through it.
No, 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 no. I don't mean to. I'm just joking. Well, it's just yeah. Anyways, any questions, comments?
No, I think it was really interesting. So after looking at all this, am I on a trajectory that is I'm gonna have a few more bumps at the end of this life cycle, or is it like, it looks like smooth sailing from this far out?
Well, there's always gonna be things that are gonna test you. There's always gonna be like those things,
Oh,
but
I'm talking about, yeah. The daily occurrences I can handle. They're gonna be big whammies. What are the
oh, yeah, that definitely would be the another transit chart. But remember that
Oh,
it's date specific. Everything in astrology is
that's
date
right. We did that
specific.
for today. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wanted to do this today because I was like, but I did get the transits. I hope mostly right, but if I didn't, that's fine. It's good practice. It's you know.
Well, we already know that absolutely what you pulled for today showed up today.
Okay,
And
cool.
that was what was kind of exciting about doing it later in the evening is like, okay, so this is what showed was your day was going to look like. This is what showed up. So tell us what showed up.
Okay,
Yeah, it did,
okay, cool.
just as it showed.
So, because I also was watching this video, and this one astrologer said that transits and progression, specifically transits, technically can be used as sort of predictive astrology for yeah, as like for predictions. But I was technically like not directly warned, but we have to be careful about prediction because if we're let's say if it's an actual client, someone who's actually paying you, it's almost like yeah. So I'm very
Well,
careful.
no,
So I do it
this
for
is what
fun.
it's looking like it could show up, and the way it could show up is in a multitude of ways.
That's true. Except that I guess that when it comes to clients, especially with they want answers, all that stuff. They if they get the wrong answer, then most likely they'll point the finger at you, right? So
But that's what I'm saying. If you're prefacing it with, this is what I'm seeing as this is how it's going to show up.
mhm.
Now recognize there are multitudinous ways that this could show up. We
Okay,
could be talking that this is something Venus that's showing up emotionally, and this is something that is affecting collectively or publicly, right? There's an emotional situation, so be aware that that could be, anything from the way that you're driving and maybe you witness somebody else having road rage,
yeah,
but it's still showing up.
that's
Do
right.
you see what I'm
That's
saying?
right. Yeah. So it can't exactly be that specific, anyways. Yeah.
Right. I'm like I'm looking at your chart and what I'm seeing is this is going to show up. How it's going to show up is yet to be seen.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. So, final question, like from my end, my question is, how do you feel about now? I kind of told you a little bit about horary astrology because it's closer to divination, the way I understand it, at least. What do you think about getting into that? Because technically, in the past, by the way, but even hundreds of years ago, especially in Europe, they this is how I get it. That apparently, instead of studying astrology and starting with natal astrology, they started with horary astrology, technically, and that was the foundation of their studies, and then they got into the other things. So, what do you think of what do you think about going into it yourself?
And learning for a specific hour, like how will
Yeah,
this
so that means that if a querent or a person, your client, has a burning question, again, it has to be a burning question and a personal connection to the question. Then yeah. So, how do you feel about going into that, but kind of still like studying a little bit about natal astrology, but more like focusing your studies on horary?
for me personally?
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Um, I don't know. I think if it looks something like this, it would be overwhelming.
It's actually less because they tend to use, well, at least traditional horary uses only like the basic, like the planets, like the from Sun to Saturn, typically. But they can include Pluto, the outer planets. They can, but I've seen a lot of the ones on YouTube. YouTube, they said that it's because it feels more like traditional. It's because, and if even if you had like only up to Saturn, Mars would still be kind of the way you uh, divine Mars is similar to what you would say with Pluto sometimes, because it's more, horary astrology is more grounded here on Earth rather than, you know what I mean. It's a little more personal because the outer planets are definitely like a generational thing. It does
Okay.
affect, yeah, it does affect us on a personal level, but
See, because the way that what I know or the way I learned was that the inner planets were more about our in our shoot, now I'm confusing it.
It's okay.
Our inner planets were more about our inner selves, right?
Mhm.
That's more directly related to us. But the outer planets were more the collective and how things affect us on a whole
Yeah,
versus
so that's why,
in,
yeah, generational. Yeah.
okay.
So
Okay.
the personal planets, uh, Sun to Mars, those are actually the personal planets, and then the transpersonal planets is just Jupiter and Saturn. They kind of behave how we see ourselves in relation to our external world, sort of. That's the way I understand it. It's kind of tricky. Like to put it in words is kind of like, but I get it. So it's like, yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay.
So
I think I would be interested in finding, I feel like that would be um like such a timely way to get an answer.
yeah.
I don't know. I think it would
Hmm.
be interesting to find out because I definitely think it would be very interesting to say do that. I'm going to say it wrong, hourly,
That's right. Yeah.
but then figuring out, okay, this is what I'm hearing now. What's the information am I getting out of my cards? How does
Hmm.
that support? How do they support one another?
I find that the more divine something is, like especially with like these kind of things, the more specific, not necessarily specific, but kind of. I find that I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I, I don't know. Maybe I was just thinking about that earlier today, and I was just like, when I do astrology, it does get accurate, but how accurate? Because it's like, it's not like divination, where divination is like literally like, this is the question, or this is what I'm getting right now. So it's like when I say specific, I mean like now. What is the
Sure.
yeah?
And how would you, and that's my other question is how do you, is it like, okay, I'm about ready to go to the horse races, which horse is going to come across the line? I mean, how does that work when you want something to answer such a specific question?
Oh, apparently they. It's a little confusing for me when it comes to like horary astrology because it's like they they do more. They have they have a more like I guess specific vocabulary that kind of extends beyond the normal. Like if I said, for example, like the moon, all that
Hmm.
stuff, they go deeper into that by saying like, oh, the moon is. They've said like the moon is your code. What is it called? Code dispositor. Oh, I forgot. There's a term for it, but it's basically like okay, the ascendant is the querent, but it's also the moon. So it's like, okay, that's weird. Why? But because apparently the moon moves quite the most often. But why is the ascendant? So my question is like when I go into or when I've been like looking into our astrology, I have been doing it recently. Like not doing it, but like studying up on it a little bit, doing a bit of research. I ask the questions always like I always ask why? Why is the ascendant the querent? I don't understand it. Why wouldn't it be the sun? Or what doesn't make sense to me. But I kind of just accept it as it is, and I'm like, okay, that's what you are. These were, I guess, these were just interpretations of back then and how they got it back then. Like I think as far as not even Europe, like Middle East, like they've done this. Horary astrology dates back, yes, as old as any astrology itself. But remember earlier I told you that it's the youngest of all of the other branches. Yes, but at the same time, for me, because I'm still new to it, or rather, I'm not sure if I want to go into it. I feel like it's super like I don't know, symbolic. Like it's really, yeah, it's really close to divination, like actual divination. It is divination, but it's like still a chart. You see what I mean? Like,
See, and that piques such an interest because you keep talking. It's so divinatory. It's and that is I think what's interesting is like, okay, how so? What what happens when doing these kinds of charts that make them so divinatory? What is giving him that impression?
Yeah, that's right. So, or you're actually asking me.
Well, I mean, that's the question it sparks inside me. It
Oh,
was
sorry.
like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that's what I. Okay, sorry.
raw, right? Like what, why is he interested in this? That's interesting. I want to check that out, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. That's right.
Um, I
So,
do want to share with you,
uh,
I did pull two cards earlier today
okay, sure,
about in preparation of the day.
sure.
So we're kind of talking about how does the tarot kind of show up with when you do the chart.
Hmm.
And I really just kind of want to point out real quick before we lose our time was that
It's okay.
you had pointed out that there was going to be some emotional discussions today, right? And having to do a little bit of standing with my own self and doing a little bit of reflection as well.
Hmm.
And the first card that came up is Bless Your Heart. Reach out for emotional and spiritual support to heal and mend your heart.
Mm.
And the other was heightened intuition. Be extra aware of your inner knowingness as it is trustworthy.
Mm. Okay, yeah, yeah. Right there.
And I want to say that both of those points came out in what you were sharing with me today.
Mm.
And so I just thought that that would be very interesting since I did this morning and went through my day with this information and showed up in what you gave me in the birth chart tonight.
So you foresaw it, and I after saw it. Sorry, I don't know.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of, you know, it
yeah.
was like,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
so what is this emotional thing that is looming over today? And had mentioned to you, I was just shuffling my cards. What do you want me to know? What do you want me to know? And these were the two cards that popped out. So
Mm.
because they popped out, those were the ones I went with today.
Nice.
You know,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
very,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. Well, we're out of time. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. I'll let you go. But sorry. Okay. I'll let you go. Let me. We'll
Good night.
communicate. We'll get in touch. Okay. Have a good night.
Okay.
Okay.
You too.
Thanks. You're
Thanks.
good.
Bye.
All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.